أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Again, we are chapter 49. As I said, there are only 18 verses. And we are going to finish it, inshallah, tonight.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. O you faithful, do not give priority to yourselves over God and His messenger, and fear God. Surely God is all hearer, all knower. O you faithful, do not raise your voices above the voice of the prophet, nor shall you speak loudly to him as you speak loudly to one another, lest you nullify your works while you do not perceive. Surely those who lower their voices in the presence of God's messenger are the ones whom God has tested their hearts for righteousness. Reserved for them are forgiveness and a great recompense. Indeed, those who call out to you from outside the chambers, most of them do not understand. Had they waited until you could come out to them, it would have been better for them, and God is all forgiving, all merciful. O you faithful, if a wicked person comes to you with any news, you should verify it, lest you may hurt people unknowingly and end up sorry. And you shall know when God's messenger is amongst you, if he obeys you in many matters. You will certainly make things difficult. However, God has made you love faith and has made your hearts adore it, and he has made you dislike disbelief, wickedness, and disobedience. These are the guided ones, a grace from God and a blessing, and God is all-knowing, all-wise. And if two groups among the faithful fight, you shall then make peace between them. However, if one of them transgresses against the other, then you shall fight against the one that transgresses, until they comply with God's command. Then, if they comply, make peace between them with justice, and be equitable. Indeed, God loves those who are equitable. The faithful are indeed brothers. Therefore, you shall make peace between your brothers, and fear God that you may attain mercy. O you faithful, no people shall make fun of other people, for they may be better than them, nor shall women do so to other women, for they may be better than them. You shall not defame, and do not make fun of each other's names. The worst attribute is wickedness after attaining faith. As for those who do not repent, these are the transgressors. O you faithful, you shall avoid suspicion as much as possible, for even a little suspicion is sinful, and you shall not spy, and do not gossip behind each other's backs. Does any one of you like to eat the flesh of his dead brother? You do abhor it, and you shall fear God. Indeed, God is acceptor of repentance, all merciful. O you people, we surely created from one male, and we surely created you from one male and one female, and rendered you groups and tribes, that you may recognize each other. Indeed, the most honorable amongst you in the sight of God is the most God-fearing of you, and indeed God is all knowledgeable, all cognizant. The Arabs said, we have attained faith. Say you have not attained faith. Instead, you should say, we have offered peace, since faith has not entered your hearts. But if you obey God and his messenger, he will not nullify any of your works. Indeed, God is all forgiving, all merciful. Indeed, the faithful are those who have believed in God and his messenger. Then they reach the status of having no doubt, and they labored their money and themselves in the cause of God. These are the truthful ones. Say, are you teaching God about your religion? And God knows everything in the vacua and within matter, and God is all knowledgeable of all things. They act as though they are doing you a favor by offering peace. Say, you are not doing me a favor by offering peace. On the contrary, it is God who is doing you a favor by guiding you to the faith, if you are sincere. Indeed, God knows the secrets of the vacua and matter, and God is all seer of all that you do.
Thank you, mashallah. Okay, very good. Okay, are there any questions, any comments, any observations on these verses that we just read?
Come, Dr. Fazely.
Alaikum assalam, yes.
It's amazing that as minor a sin as suspicion is sinful. I mean, one would never think about a thing like that, but it is important to note that as well, that a little bit of suspicion could be sinful. Right? It's amazing. This is how detailed this book is. Alhamdulillah, yeah. Yeah.
Very true, very true. That is true, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You know, we go through our lives and you know, we really transgress a lot against God. And there are a lot of stuff that we do that is not, you know, looked upon favorably by God. And we fail to notice it. But you're right. I mean, there are a lot of things that God is telling us that, you know, like making fun of each other names and things like that. It's a very common thing that people do. They think that this is funny, okay? And but these are the type of things that God does not look upon favorably, and we have to be very careful.
But it is also a very big reminder to us all that we should read the Quran regularly. I mean, these are
exactly
things that could escape us, you know?
Yeah. It's a reminder. I mean, it's a constant reminder that we have to, you know, that we have to maintain the obedience of the Quran. And, you know, it just says right here, you see, O faithful, do not raise your voices above the voice of the Prophet, nor shall you speak loudly to him, as you speak loudly to one another, lest you nullify your works while you do not perceive. And, you know, this is again, right now, I mean, how can you raise your voice above the voice of the Prophet? The Prophet is not here. Okay?
Yeah.
But the point is that this is what Prophet talked about. This came out of Muhammad's mouth by God's leave. And so this is what we have to obey. We cannot raise our voice above this. When God is telling us something, we should say, "Be here," and we obey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you very much, sir.
Very good. Very good. Okay. Okay, anything else? Any other comments or questions or observations on these verses that we just read in this chapter?
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam, Mahmoud. Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, verse 6 also. It's very important.
Yes.
We have
Yes.
that in mind before we take an action of what somebody say. To always make sure we're verified.
Yeah.
That's, you know, one of the things the devil will use to put wedges among the believers. And, you know, that same verse that you were just talking about, the suspicion.
Yeah.
And
gossip.
It's a very important chapter.
Yeah. And gossip, you see, that's the other thing that a lot of people just, you know, get really fascinated by talking about people behind their backs. But this says that the person who is coming and doing this, he is a wicked guy. Okay? That's why it says, if a wicked person comes to you with any news. So spreading these kinds of things, it's coming from wickedness. Yeah.
spread and the gossip is wickedness anyway.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Fazely. Peace, everyone.
Walaikum salam. Peace to you too. Yeah, go ahead, please.
I'm listening at all the flaws that we have as humans, and so at what point can we say that we really have attained faith and have no doubt when we were always doing things that, it's wrong?
Yep. Well, I mean, it's the time that you really know that you have no doubt. You see, if you have any doubts, then you're not really a believer. That's what God is saying. This is a. Let me just go down here. Adam said that we have attained faith. Say you have not attained faith. Instead, you should say that we have offered peace. Okay, now you're a Muslim. Since faith has not entered your hearts, but if you obey God and His messenger, He will not nullify any of your works. Indeed, God is all forgiving, all merciful. So the status of a believer is this. Indeed, the faithful are those who have believed in God and His messenger. Then they reach the status of having no doubt. And they labor their money and themselves in the cause of God. These are the truthful ones. So once we reach that status, then we indeed believe. But only God knows that. So it's not important to us.
I understand that.
Yeah.
And I get that. I guess what He's forgiving is the not lesser things, but the making fun of, the names and things like that. That we can be faithful and still make those mistakes.
Yes, okay. Exactly.
Yeah, I get it. All right. So, but it's good to know what you're reaching for because it's a work in progress, and I always ask, where am I, so I'll know how I can keep working. I mean, I'm always trying to do better. I think all of us are while we get on the line, but we can continue to make mistakes. Like I didn't know a couple of weeks ago when I said, so do we give you the money? Because I thought that I dealt with, when we were at the meeting, that the monies should go to God and His messenger. Of course, I accept you as a messenger, but I thought, I don't even know what I thought. I thought it was from the past. So there you go. So I would have been wrong had I not asked that question and looked stupid even. But I rather look stupid and know so that I can correct that as a thing I should be doing.
Yeah, you're totally right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other comments or question observations?
Salam, Dr. Fazely.
Walaikum salam. Yes, Shakira, go ahead, please.
I was looking at Surah 49, verse 7. And I don't know whether my understanding is correct about it, but you could correct it. I was thinking that just not if he obeys you in many matters, but basically excessive questioning and actually I don't know how to express myself, but asking the wrong kind of questions and questioning too much, all of them seem to me that it would make things difficult for us, because that this is this word la'anittum. La'anittum is the same like la'anat, like curse. Is it the same kind of word?
No, it's not that. No, it's not.
It has a different meaning. Like it's basically talking about different.
Yeah. It means you are surely making things difficult for yourself. Anittum. La'anittum means surely you do this. It's not la'na. Okay?
Yeah.
It's not that. Okay? Yeah. So anyway, but that's.
Can you say more?
It says that messenger has certain information which you do not have. And so he cannot make you happy by obeying what you are saying.
Exactly.
You see, so that's the idea. That you see, remember now, when Jacob said, he said, I have things that you don't know.
Yes.
You see, they started as kids, they said, oh, you're going to do this and this. He said, I know of God what you do not know. You know, when he was weeping for Joseph, yeah.
Yes.
And he said, I know of God what you do not know. So he had certain information that they did not have. He also said, do not enter from the same door. Okay?
Yes.
But God said he had certain information, so that's why he said it. He said it wouldn't make any difference anyway. But Jacob had certain information that other people didn't have. So they have certain information that the rest of the people don't have. So they cannot come and follow these guys. And then things becomes a lot more complicated. That's what God is saying here.
Yes. He actually also knew that Joseph did not die. He knew that.
Of course. Of course, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying that he's telling them that he knows of God what you do not know. Okay? So that has really wide and far dimensions, that statement. Okay? Mistake that could be that God has already told him that he's alive, he's not dead. Okay? And he was very sad, so he was asking God for make him happy and calm and give him inner peace and things like that. So he knew something that his kids, obviously the kids were bad guys, obviously, because they threw the kid into the well. And so, but anyway.
Yeah,
that's what this verse is saying. No, I'm just saying this is what this verse says. Okay? Yeah.
Yeah, but also God says that obey God and obey the messenger. Basically, because the messenger is uttering only what is the truth.
What is God is telling him exactly? This is what I was just saying. Okay, that when here when he says, "Do not raise your voice above the voice of the prophet." Okay.
Yeah.
So prophet is not here. I cannot do that. Okay. But prophet said this verse, and all these 6,234 verses that are numbered and 112 that are unnumbered. So all of these verses were uttered by the prophet, and people were saying, "No, you are wrong." Okay, and today they do the same thing. So the same people who say right now that they do not believe in this book, and they want to do whatever they want to do with it, okay, and burn it or whatever, because they think that somehow they are going to put God's light out, okay, and so by their mouths, but God insists upon perfecting His light, okay, and so we have seen that. So this book cannot be burnt. This book cannot be torn apart. That is not a solution. We are surrounded by this book, and this book is a source of wisdom, source of knowledge, and source of tranquility and peace for us. We actually feel better. When we read this Quran, we feel better about it. And so that's the idea. And so these verses are basically saying the same thing, okay? And then he says, surely those who lower their voices in the presence of God's messengers are the ones whom God has tested their hearts for righteousness. Reserved for them are forgiveness and a great recompense. Okay? So these are the people who, when he said something, they said, yes, sir, we obey. We hear and we obey, and that's it. There was no question asked. Okay? Remember, they said, why did he said, why did they change the direction of Qibla? Why did they change the direction of Qibla? You see, remember that? Okay?
Yeah.
Because he was told by God to do that. Okay? He said, we did this so we'll know who is going to obey the messenger and who is not. Okay, so that was a test. The same thing with prophet to the children of Israel. He said, we want a king. Okay? So he said, okay, God said Saul is going to be your king. Why Saul? Okay? So they don't want that. They don't want to hear that because they want to have their own input in there, but their input is not correct input. It's an uninformed input that they want to put in there and execute it.
So, when it says here very clearly, God tells us, obey God and obey his messenger. But here, it's basically reversing that the messenger is going to have to obey you. And then that's how it makes it difficult, because you are reversing the position between the messenger and the person.
Yeah.
Then God is telling those, God has made you love faith and has made your hearts adore it, and he has made you dislike disbelief, wickedness, and disobedience. So basically, that if the messenger is obeying you, if you are trying to do that, then it's because of disbelief, wickedness, and disobedience. And so if you really love faith and your hearts adore it, then God will protect you from all these things, because you will be guided. And that is a grace from God and a blessing. So the things that you do without understanding what God means by saying God's messenger, obey God's messenger, is all of this. This is showing the person is doing all these things: dislike, disbelief, wickedness, disobedience, not guided. So that's what God is telling here. Am I correct?
Yeah. I mean, this is what God is saying, because you see the way that God is. We read it in chapter 41. He said the way that He talks to people or He communicates with people are this. One of the system that God has is sending a messenger through whom He actually delivers what He wants to deliver to people. Okay, so that person at that time, he has certain information that the rest of the people don't have. Okay?
Yes.
So those guys chiming in and trying to do things, it's not going to work out. It's going to mess everything up.
Yes.
That's the thing. Okay?
Thank you so much, Fazely.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, anything else? Any other comments or questions, observations?
Salam, Dr. Fazely.
Welcome, Salam. Miriam, yes, go ahead, please.
In verse, verse 3.
I can hardly hear you. Could you speak louder, Miriam?
Do you hear me?
Better a little bit, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. We currently have thunderstorm and rain and stuff, so don't be surprised if I get cut off. The verse 3, surely those who lower their voices in the presence of God's messenger are the ones whom God has tested their hearts for righteousness. Reserved for them are forgiveness and a great recompense. I actually just right now I noticed that the verb used in the Arabic verse is exactly the same verb that was used to tell the believers, men and women, to yaghuddu, so yaghudduna, but instead of their aswatahum, which means their voices, I believe it's in chapter 5. I don't remember exactly. It's about the they do the same thing but with their absar.
Yeah. يغضون أبصارهم. Yes, chapter 24 actually.
Chapter 24. Sorry about that, Dr. Fazely.
Tell the believing men and believing women that they should lower their eyes and do not stare.
Right. So
yeah.
What is really the meaning of this? Is it really the physical aspect of it, which means really lowering the function of the eye, or of the or voices, or is it about something else? Because God in other verses he used adna and other things to say lower. So I'm just wondering whether this al-ghudh or yaghudhun means something really much deeper, since now in this verse it's applied to the voices, and in that chapter 24 it's applied to the eyes, or the sight. Sorry, the sight.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
No,
it simply means that, okay, suppose you went and talked to somebody, okay, and you tell them that, oh, you faithful, you should raise your voice up. Okay, let's see here, okay.
But in the context of that, the same verb used in the context of the sight, how you would lower the sight? I mean,
you just look down. You just look down instead of look up. You look down. You not stare, okay? But in this case, okay, for example, okay, O you faithful, no people shall make fun of other people, for they may be better than them, nor shall women do so to other women, for they may be better than them. You shall not defame and do not make fun of each other's names. The worst attribute is wickedness after attaining faith. As for those who do not repent, these are the transgressors, okay? So suppose you said this verse to somebody, okay? And that somebody said, oh, come on, give me a break, okay? Mm-hmm. That is yelling, that's raising your voice above the voice of the prophet.
Yes.
Because you are repeating what the prophet said, because God sent that to Muhammad, and Muhammad actually uttered that. There are people who make money like this. They are making fun of other people's names, and they make money.
Yeah.
It says, you see, you make fun of other people. See, you shall not make fun of other people, for they may be better than them. Okay? Yes. No people shall make fun of other people. But this is, comedians make money out of that. So when you tell that, you see, when Muhammad says that he's going to create a lot of people mad at him, because that's their culture. That's what they do. They think it's fun. It's not fun. Okay. So this is equivalent to that, raising your voice. You're not lowering your voice anymore. You're raising your voice.
Yeah. And the fun most of the time comes in terms of one group better than the other one, which takes us back to the original sin, if I can say that Satan did, because he explained it by, I am better than the one who created.
That's right.
So,
So yes, exactly. He said, you create me from fire and you create him from clay, so I'm better than him. So to him, fire was superior to clay, and that's what he thought. So he claimed superiority over this. Okay, a lot of people do that. Okay, so that's actually what I was going to mention. Okay, it says that. Let's see. There it is. Okay, verse 13. Oh, you people, we surely created you from one male and one female, and rendered you groups and tribes, that you may recognize each other. Indeed, the most honorable amongst you in the sight of God is the most God-fearing of you. and indeed God is all knowledgeable, all cognizant. Okay? So this actually throws out the idea of racism completely.
Right.
Completely. Right. Okay? And so if somebody is racist, that person doesn't like this whole thing. Okay? You know, I mean, you know, you go ahead and you think, oh, this guy is superior to this guy because of this and this and this, okay? But, you know, this is not the case. The case is telling you what is God's yardstick is. Okay, he says, indeed, the most honorable amongst you in the sight of God is the most God-fearing of you. Yeah. Okay? Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. Okay, so that's what God is saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was pondering on, because most of the time the racism, the prejudices are and so on, they are based on things that are visible or physical, or which means the matter, the physical aspect of it. But the taqwa, it is that actually what makes us different, depending on which level we are, is not something that you can quantify in terms of like it comes up like it becomes obvious all of a sudden. We might think of someone like unrighteous, and that person is very inside, has a very high taqwa, but circumstances are such that we focus only on what is visible to the eye rather than the behavior, the righteousness, and so on. So that's plus personally, I truly believe that only God knows truly what each one of us is at which level of taqwa.
Exactly. I mean, that's God's yardstick, that by which He actually measures people goodness. Let's put it that way, okay? Yeah. So it's the goodness of that person, okay? How good is this person? And only God knows that. And so the rest of the stuff, I'm just saying that the worldly stuff that we are so, so fascinated with, it has no place in the Quran whatsoever.
Right.
Okay? So this verse basically throws all of that into the garbage.
Yes.
Say, look, you guys are the same. Have the same gene, okay, the same Y chromosome, the same X chromosome, and this is what you are. This is who you are.
Yeah.
And there is no superiority from one race to another, okay, or one people that, that's why he says don't make fun of other people, okay, because they're just as good as you are, or maybe better than you. So how dare you doing this? How do you know that they are supposed to be put them down by making fun of them? But this actually, as I said, it throws it out of the window, and that's it. That's the end of it. Mm-hmm. And so, again, we look at this, and then somebody comes and says, no, that's not true. It depends on genes and this and that, the others, and all kinds of stuff. Okay, so that person would have shouted at Muhammad.
Yeah.
Okay, and
Actually, Dr. Fazely, I always, every time when I read that verse in which Satan says, "You create me from this and from fire," and I always wondered what made him believe that the fire is better than the clay. So because you can't even compare. These are two completely different things. The same thing with races and with everything that surrounds us. I cannot compare a language to another language. I cannot say that language is better than the other language, because there's nothing to compare. They are just different, and this is it. I mean, that's how I look at it. But But anyway, thank you so much.
Well, in the case of languages, you actually, sometimes you look at something and you have this, sort of internal bias towards another group of people, okay? Yeah. And so when they say something, you really do not pick it up immediately. And the reason is because you think that this person is speaking a different language and you cannot understand it. Okay? If you go to Iran, for example, and a lot of people in the villages, they call night show instead of shab. You go to the cities, everybody says shab. But if you the accent and the dialect in the villages, they say show. And so I was talking to this Kurdish guy from Iraq, and he was telling me show, and I did not pick it up.
Even though it's
exactly, it was exactly what those were. I would have picked it up from somebody from a village in Iran, but I thought that he was speaking a different language, but he was not. He was speaking the same thing. My own bias made me really an ignorant person. Okay? That's something that I knew I did not even notice. Okay? So that's how basically ignorance will mask the knowledge that you have. Okay? So it's not good. It's not good to be biased. You have to listen. Okay?
Oh yeah, it's a
and a lot of stuff that you see are really common to different languages. They just have to be different accent, different dialect, and so you cannot hear it. And then this step that you take in order to try to either understand or ignore somebody, that comes into play also, and then that becomes a completely different language. This is babbling basically. Okay, it sounds like babbling, and it's not. They're saying the same thing.
Yeah, amazing. It's true, Dr. Fazely. It's a constant fight, or what I call the part of our jihad and nafs, to strive for a better nafs or a better
struggle. Yeah.
Self,
yes.
By fighting our own prejudices. That is very true.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fazely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Fazely.
Walaikum assalam. Yes, go ahead, please.
So today you mentioned 2:30 of God made us vice journey on earth. Are we to think that, that we are better though because of that than the animals? I know we're not better than each other, but are we to think that we are superior to everything else here?
Oh, we have a higher responsibility. That's what I was saying. Okay, God has favored us with this, but this actually comes with continuous gratefulness to God and appreciativeness of God's blessings, and also we have a higher responsibility. We're in danger. Okay, so yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's why I kept on saying that we have to ask these questions from ourselves, okay? Why is this like this? It shouldn't be like this, but it is, okay? So, but I forgot to tell you about what I was talking about. So I'm gonna go back to my talk today, and then I'm gonna add it, inshallah, to the. Let me just go to our website and. Let's see, where are we? It is worship God alone. Here. Okay, so if you click on this prime index mathematics, the generator of the Quran, if you click on it, it comes to this. Okay, so I have a small preface here that you can read, and so if I go down to this number here, see 355. Is right here, 355. It's right next to 1281, okay? So 355 actually is 5 times 71. And the index of 5 is 3, and the index of 71 is 20, so it's 320. So if I go to our old trusty table here, okay, there it is. let's see. See 320 here? I already did this, 320. Okay, so if I scroll to the right, there is 1281. Okay, so 355, strategically, it's actually there next to 1281. So why is it? Why is it that it actually generates, that number 355 generates the number of digits in the 19th Gaussian prime? I'm sorry, not Gaussian, Mersenne prime. Why does it do that? This is what you have to ask yourself, okay? And so here, I mean, that thing now, the wisdom of this verse, okay, say, had God willed, I would have never recited it to you, and you would have never understood it, although I had indeed spent a lifetime among you prior to this. Do you not think? So we have to think about this. And so all of these numbers are there for a reason. They're not just picked out of the air, okay, including 1016. Okay. So now we understand this verse a lot better. Okay. So it's God's will that we can actually see this. And I can actually explain this to you, why these numbers are here. Okay. And all of this keeps pointing back to the 19th, number 19, which is the foundation for this structure. And it goes back to 9127 over and over and over again. Okay? Okay. Any other questions or comments?
So, Dr. Fazely, these numbers, you said, even if we were in another dimension or another planet, they don't change at all. They just stay the same.
No,
so,
because you can explain this. You can explain this to anybody, no matter where they live. Okay?
Yeah.
They could be in another galaxy, but they understand these numbers. But I cannot do this with a language. You see what I'm saying? I cannot do this with language. If it was based on a language, then it would be limited to certain people. And that would not be fair. I've said this so many times. And people do not get it. Okay? And the thing is that we cannot rely on a single language. God says in chapter 41, we read it, 41:44. It says, you see, had we revealed it in a different language, they would have said, why did it come? It was a non-Arabic Quran. They would say, why did it come in that language? Okay? So they would ask that question. So it wouldn't matter. They would say something. It says for those who believe, it's a healing and it's a blessing for them. And so God created this way for us so we can enjoy this regardless of our language. We all understand this. Okay? And that's the beauty of it. As I said, I didn't know about 355 until today, about 10 minutes before the Jummah. Okay? I didn't know about this. And then 320 didn't look like a number that would like, trigger a light bulb in my head or anything like that. Until I looked at it, I said, let me just look. And then when I scrolled here to the right, and I said, oh my God, there is 1281. And so we started with 1281 actually. That's the number of digits in the 19th Mersenne prime. And that is amazing. It shouldn't be like this, but it is. Okay? And that's the question that we owe to ourselves. That we have to come to an agreement with ourselves. That's the key. Instead of, listening to X and Y and Z, criticizing this and that and the others, okay? We have to make sure that we understand it. And that's what that verse says. At God will, you will not understand it. You just throw this behind your back, but God says that no, this is the way that I want to do it. Okay.
So God is giving you revelations, but not based on words, but based on numbers. He's revealing to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when you understand in terms of numbers, you see the words become even more beautiful. Because you know what God is saying actually. Why He's saying that. Okay? So this is His will. See, He says, had He willed, I wouldn't have explained this to you. And you would not have understood it. That's not the case. So He has willed it this way.
So you see His will and His proof of that all at once.
Yep. See, as I said, no matter what you do with this, okay, as I said in that write-up that I had there, okay, so let me go back to that. There it is, okay. If I go up here, I said, that the Quran with its profound message of there is no God but God, advocates worship of God alone. Therefore, the protected tablet, as asserted by God in the Quran, is eternal even if galaxies collide and this universe expires. It won't make any difference. Okay? Hence, damaging or burning the ink and paper version of the Quran done by the ignorant will not affect anything in the least. Okay? So, a lot of people get upset and stuff like that, but the point is that Quran is supposed to be recited and listened to and obeyed. Quran is not something which is, the ink and paper thing is not something to put, in some high place in your house and collect dust and nobody reads it and people kiss it and then they put it back there again. That's not the Quran. This is the Quran. Okay? This is what Quran is.
That's just an idol.
Yeah, that's an idol, exactly. It's a fetish, basically. Yeah. And they make the small ones and they hang it around their necks and all kinds of stuff. That's a fetish. Yeah. Very good. Okay, any other comments or questions, observations, or discussions?
Salam, Dr. Fazely.
Welcome, salam. Yes, Miriam, go ahead, please.
I just wanted to add that first, thank you for what you really shared with us during the Friday prayer that took us to all the mathematics. So we ended up with the verse 10:16, but also that verse 10:16, because of the mathematics that you presented after, that took us again to the 9127. That means also that the Prophet has not recited 9128 and 9129.
Exactly.
It's mind-boggling because when you picked up that 2131, the 2131, I was like, oh my God. Anyway. But thank you so much, Dr. Fazely. I just wanted to point to that.
But I mean, you can see this. Okay, 168 semi-prime is 538. We talked about 538.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
38 happens to be the sequential value of Muhammad, and 5 is 5 times in the Quran. If you consider that the name Muhammad, which is the name of the surah, is one of them. They can argue with you.
Yes.
We have 438 and 538, both, okay? And they both go back to 9127, okay? Yeah. So this one becomes the 538 non-Chen prime is 9127 again, okay? But, on the way to there, what it does, it also generates the number of verses in chapter 32, which is called a sajda, okay? Yeah. It's prostration, okay? Or honoring the Quran. Let's put it that way, okay? Yeah. When the Quran is recited, they do not honor it.
Yeah.
They yell. Okay, they raise their voice.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the 1016 adds up to 8, and then the 8th prime is actually 19. So that's also nice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at the structure of what I showed at the end here. Okay, the indices of these primes, 2 times 2 times 10, 16 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 1, 27 is 1, 1, 1, 3, 1. Okay, there is one extra 1 here from 1131. Can you imagine that?
And it takes you back to 1131, yeah?
Yeah, it went to 1131 again, which is the index of 9127, okay? So, it's as though God saying the one said 1131, okay? That's how you can actually think of that number.
Or as God says, where are you fleeing? Where are you going?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're surrounding us. These numbers are surrounding us.
Yeah.
Thank
you so much, and God bless you for sharing what you get inspired with by His grace.
God bless you too.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Fazely.
Welcome, Salam. Yes, go ahead, Sarah.
I've got a question that doesn't have to do with the verses that we're just reading, but since we were talking about voices, I just wanted to check with something. From my understanding, in terms of like the ability to free speech, nowhere in the Quran does it say that we are supposed to be limiting others, right? And the verses that I can think of is the times that, when Lot was told not to basically like preach to people if you may, and didn't we tell you like just to basically go home? And it's reiterated in the Bible as well as the Quran, the same deal where they didn't want him to talk to people and basically tell them not to engage in this type of behavior. I don't see anywhere that comes close to us limiting communication or censorship. God gives us the ability to decide to basically remove ourselves when there's bad talk. If somebody's basically being made fun of or whatnot, like the jokes that you were talking about. However, it's interesting because like the verse that you have translated as the one that deals with the aqaba, the raqaba, the attack on the communication medium, if you may. Let me pull up the verse. Sorry.
It's 8:12. It's 8:12.
8:12. Yes.
8:12.
When your Lord inspired the angels, and I am with you, therefore you shall strengthen those who have faith. I will soon throw terror into their hearts of those in the terror of the hearts of those who have no faith. Therefore, you shall disrupt all communications, and you shall disrupt every means. The translation of this verse is basically is pointing further that it's not up to us that does that. Correct?
Yeah, it's what God is saying is that, you see, the thing is that when two armies meet, God says, I have 1,000 angels or 5,000 angels fully trained to do this, okay? So that's what God is inspiring these people to do. So their communication will be disrupted, okay? The word anaq or unuq is actually is also hanjara, which means voice box, okay? So it says fawqa anaq, okay? Fawq, over their hanjara, okay? So it says, you see, you should hit, or you should make noise over the noise. So the best understanding of that is to basically disrupt their communications.
But is it the angels that are doing that?
Yes, of course. That's how the verse starts.
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
No,
and that's not, my point. No. My point is that nowhere does it say that we limit the voices of others, and in this case, in which case you're basically disrupting the communication. It's actually saying that it's the angels that do that, correct?
Of course, yeah. The whole verse is based on, because that doesn't make any sense, because, you see, they cannot strike heads or necks. Angels cannot do that, because they argued with God. They said, remember, they said that this guy is shedding blood. We are here, we are praising you and glorifying you and having you sacred and everything, and these guys are going to shed blood. They cannot do that, okay? So, anyway, so the task is this, to do it this way. This is the way they do it, okay? So they disrupt communication, they disrupt all their means, the thing would not work the way they're supposed to work and things like that. Yeah. And as I said, because they are bad people, they become dumb and deaf like me, like I did, okay, with that guy. Okay, I didn't understand what he was saying. So when you have those kind of feelings inside you, then you're cut off, basically. Yeah, you don't think anymore.
Yeah. You remember, like, the solar flare that happened in 2011, and the solar flare that had knocked off the communication, all of cellular service in China that year. Yes. That could be taken as a commandment that could have actually been saving China that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I know it's like solar wind.
Whatever it was, I'm just saying, like, going back to that verse. That verse cannot be understood in any other way.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my point. Okay, because that's not what the job is. Okay. And so the job is, I inspired you to do this, and this is what you should do, and that's what God is telling you to do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Salam, Dr. Fazely.
Malaikum salam. Yes, Nishat, go ahead, please.
Going back to what Sarah was saying, I think this was a discussion that she and I had in regards to what's happening nowadays, especially with social media and the means that people have for spreading, not everybody, but the bad guys, spreading lies or slander or untruth and talk a lot of bad stuff and things that can harm. I mean, encouraging people to, kill each other and all that kind of stuff. So I think what Sarah meant was that leave it to God and absolutely zero censorship, because there's all this talk with AI coming, creating some sort of regulations to limit or have some sort of oversight over what's happening with AI and social media and stuff like that. Does that go back to this verse and the thing that if God wants, he can stop it through angels and other means, and it's not up to human beings to have any kind of control or restriction on anything that anybody says, no matter if it's slander, lie, or things that are going to encourage people to do bad stuff?
Yeah. Well, as far as I'm concerned, I don't listen to that. I don't read it. So I have no feeling about what you were saying. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's not a problem for me. Let's put it that way, okay? I don't read comments that they have in these articles. Sometimes I read some articles, but that's about it. These are people have opinions, and their opinion is not valid to me, but that's their opinion, and they are entitled to their opinion. Simple as that. But it doesn't mean that it is the truth. That's the idea.
So there is like all this like government regulations about controlling some of these stuff is.
Of course, this is not. Yeah. No, it shouldn't. Yeah, it shouldn't. Okay. It should be. Everything should be allowed. Okay, book burning and stuff like that. Okay, this is what the Nazis did.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's coming back. It's coming back. Okay, so it's being targeted on other books rather than those books that the Nazis didn't like, and but the thing is that people are entitled to do things, and if they want to write something and claim all kinds of things, that's their thing and that's their privilege. Let's put it that way, and that's their prerogative, and they can do it. But I don't have to read it. I don't have to listen to it, and so I have that option not to do that. There are some places that actually make you do that, okay, and that's really bad, okay, that they have ideas and opinions, and they want you to follow those ideas and opinions and gravitate towards them. But, you're here in this country, and you're fine. You don't have to listen to it or enjoy it or anything like that. But they have an opinion, and they're entitled to it.
Thank you.
Just going back to the issue that we're dealing with here in Canada is actually Bill C-11, and it's allowing the government to basically deem whatever they consider to be improper to basically be shut down. And that's when I was saying that, we're going to be going down a slippery slope. Right now, you cannot go to a school and say, you know what, I don't want my child to be reading, or seeing sexual content being taught to my children about same-sex marriage, because it's considered, they've deemed it and they've labeled it as hate speech. There used to be a time in Canada where it was illegal to basically, I remember the organization MAD, when they first came out, they were called Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. And they had to make them change their name because it's part of the law that you cannot have a group of people against another group of people. But nowadays, what you're finding is that, you cannot talk about, a life of an unborn fetus, because you are now hating on the mother and her right to her own body. And so it's these definitions that they're changing the language in a way that you're now no longer able to even have a discussion. And muffling these type of voices, to me, seems to be bringing back to those verses when Lot was going around and telling people, and these are like signs of really bad behavior that's just not going to take us down. I feel that, you have control, as you said, you have control over your own thoughts and your own presence, that if you're hearing bad talk, you can try to stop it, and if you cannot stop it, then you just leave. But never is it from Lot's time or Moses' time. Never does God say that, you need to control these things, because I don't see it as a form of fixing the problem. In fact, it's actually it brings the opposite effect. Case in point, what has happened in Germany, right? So allow it to go, and allow the people to make their decisions, because at the end of the day, you're not going to basically dictate morality to people or proper thought process. That's all.
Yeah. Again, as I said, those kinds of things, you cannot legislate morality. Okay, I like to say it that way rather than dictate. Okay, you cannot legislate and say, look, this is the way you should behave and stuff like that. Those kinds of things have already been described in the scriptures. Okay, if they don't want to follow that, that's their privilege also. Okay, but then again, a government or somebody like that cannot tell me that I have to pay for somebody go ahead and do abortion, okay? So it's not part of healthcare. That's my point, okay? So that thing has to be very clearly spelled out. That if they want to do it, let them do it, okay? But the point is that I cannot pay for that. So
we're past that point over here. We're paying for sex changes now, so. To
exactly. Or for those kind of things. So, that's right. For those kind of things.
Lobotomizing.
So
you're arguing the idea about not committing circumcision on children. We're surpassed that now, right?
Yeah. So as I said, it's not part of health. You're welcome. Okay. Anything else? Any other comments or question, observations? Okay, so if there are none, let's finish for tonight, and then we'll hear from you next week, inshallah. Okay, and happy Sabbath.